Oh, hello. Do you think that Big Brother's watching? Or that the Illuminati is planning to take over the world? Have you happened to have an encounter with a space alien today? Well, if the answer to those questions is yes, then grab your hat. This is tinfoil hat time. Welcome back to Tinfoil Hat Time. This is Tom. So today we're going to be talking about public relations. Public relations, that is right. And this is partially in response to the video that I did yesterday, which had a little bit to do on public relations and mostly to do with some bug tests. But before we get into this, I would like some comments and some feedback on the mic placement now. So I've been working with trying to figure out the best way to do a mic placement. I've put it down low and I've put it kind of in my way, like kind of right in the screen. And the problem with being right in the screen is as I'm looking this way to go and do something on the other monitor, I look this way, I might have something this way, I'll get inconsistent audio sound because the mic is actually a very good mic, because it really only picks up what it's supposed to. So what I'm trying right now is I'm actually trying an overhead mic placement, which is actually what the TV studios do anyway. So the mic is ever so slightly out of the view of the camera. In fact, it is right here. You can see where my finger is, and I'm touching it. So it's just out of the frame. So let me know if this audio sounds more consistent. That's one of the things I've really been working on, is trying to get better consistent audio. Also, I bumped up the camera resolution a little bit. If I go too high, we'll get some frame rates. If I go too low, it looks grainy and bad. And so I'm testing out the frame rates. I'm testing out a few other quality items in the quality of the production right now. So on to PR. So public relations, what is public relations? Well, public relations it's essentially exactly as it sounds. It's how well does a business relate to the public? And public relations in many ways is very good, but sometimes has some really bad elements. And those are the things that we want to talk about. So I wanted to start with some goofy public relations things. So actually, more or less, some goofy things that happened in the middle that public relations needed to get involved. And these are kind of funny to see sometimes. But what we're going to do here, the other thing I'm going to try and do is do transitions over here so I can do it without looking. So here we have, actually this was last year. This is, I think, from Budweiser or whatever. And, of course, printed on this bottle, if you can't read it there, says, "The perfect beer for removing no from your vocabulary for the night." That is a fascinating argument. In fact, it's so fascinating that the kitty wants to get involved. This one obviously is the loud one. But there we are. Okay, hey, look at that. How appropriate is that the Bud Light can is now right on top of Devil's Tower? All right. Or maybe I'm promoting something here. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, another fun public relations nightmare. These are from a list of best public relations nightmare items from 2015. I couldn't find any real good ones from 2016. So here's one from a Bloomingdale's catalog. Spike your best friend's eggnog while they're not looking. Well, there's a not quite so subtle suggestion of date rape. Obviously, they're like, yeah, we're sorry for this. PR got involved in all of these cases. Now, there was another case that that I remember PR getting involved in. And that was over the summer here. Was it over the summer? Yeah, in July. So Ars Technica reports this article here from July, and it's Microsoft's attempts to recruit interns is a barrel of cringe. Like, this is kind of scary. Hi, I'm Kim, a Microsoft University recruiter. My crew is coming from our HQ in Seattle to hang with you in the crowd of Bay Area interns at Internapalooza. Eesh. More importantly, we're throwing an exclusive after-party night of the event at our San Francisco office, and you're invited. There'll be hella noms, a lot of drinks, and the best beats. Just like last year, we're breaking out the Yammer beer pong tables. Of course, PR got involved in this one as well. Let's see. Here's what their PR persons had to say. The email was poorly worded and not in keeping with our values as a company. We are looking into how this occurred and will take appropriate steps to address it. So that's what happens with all of these. You know, Bloomingdale comes out with a not so subtle suggestion of date rape. Their PR person, we have no idea how this happened. Budweiser, like, nobody thought of this. There was another one from IBM trying to recruit more females into the job force with engineering blow dryer, I think it was. I don't know. Caused a whole lot of backlash. And so you get a lot of this kind of stuff going back and forth. And these are the silly things that make for funny stories. They're arguably serious / not serious. Who knows? You know, obviously there's nothing funny about date rape. There's nothing funny about Budweiser on a can of beer saying remove the word no from your vocabulary. There's nothing funny about any of that stuff. But hopefully they were things that got enough backlash early enough that, you know, it went away. The problems are resolved. They didn't jump out and go, yeah, we're good. This is like, we're standing behind this. Date rape and saying no is not an option. They're not doing that. And that's the good thing, that the backlash of the modern day internet really does a decent job of keeping things fairly clean. Usually this would be some low-level person or some person that's really overstepping their bounds. And then, of course, you get this rubber stamp approval process, so people aren't really reading the stuff that goes out, although they should be. Nevertheless, those are not big serious things. But there are some serious things that occur. So what are some of the serious things that might occur? Well, if you remember the Samsung Note issue, like, I think 100 different fires were reported in the United States over this smartphone. Now, you could argue 100 fires and how many phones were sold. I think something like 2.5 million or something, or maybe that was just the United States. I don't know. Still, a defective battery in a smartphone, and a defective battery that's strong in a smartphone, that defines one thing, and it's called a chemical explosion, okay? And that is not a pleasant thing. So, property was damaged, a plane was damaged. A few of these phones blew up in people's hands and faces. I do not recall if there were any major injuries, but Samsung, in that, they did a really bad job with PR. They did have another issue, another statement, yeah, we're sorry, blah, 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 whatever, but it came way too little and it came way too late. And to make it worse, Samsung had a binding arbitration. If you're using the phone, you are in a binding arbitration with them. And I think there was a ruling on that case. I'm trying to remember if they allowed it or disallowed it based upon that. I can't remember. But regardless, there was a binding arbitration in that. Now, the other thing that came to mind with this is, if you've watched the documentary called Maxed Out, you should go watch that. It's probably more defined as a muckraking documentary looking into the credit card issues and things. Debt, credit cards, obviously as the title Maxed Out. Well, they have a clip in there when the people were on the floor of either the Congress or the Senate. I think it was the Senate. And they were running low in time, and so they had all made some little statements, and then they let each credit card company, they let these credit card companies that are targeting college students, getting tons of people who have no business with credit cards deeply, deeply into debt. In reality, if you look at suicide statistics among males, the number one reason a male commits suicide is financial difficulty, financial strain. And these credit card companies just do this. But they have all of this panel of these credit card companies, and they're all like, I'm so-and-so from so-and-so credit card company, and we value our customers every day. And it's just like, I want to reach to the television and slap these people silly. That's an example of really bad stuff, because being in debt up to your eyeballs is a serious, serious thing. Okay. Obviously, we talked a little bit about binding arbitration. I'm not going to go in there again. Ignoring realities. And that was the emphasis on the video that I did yesterday. It was that a security researcher identified a major issue in Microsoft's Samba servers, which is how network files are shared. And Microsoft was alerted to this issue in September. That's a long ways out. So they were alerted to this problem a long time ago. And despite being alerted to the problem a long time ago, it is now February. The thing is still not patched, and it was called by Carnegie Mellon security researchers as a major, major exploit. And all that Microsoft did is came out with this little statement saying, we have a great operating system because we patch it very well and we care about our customers and everyone should use Windows 10 and Microsoft Edge. It's like, what kind of person came up with that as a response to 5-month major vulnerability of a file system being out there? Now, the purpose of that video wasn't to look at the poor PR, but the purpose of that video was to compare that Microsoft has known about this bug for a long time. Well, Linux gets bugs too, but they're usually patched a little bit quicker, of course, depending on your distro. I'm running Linux Mint here, and every security bug that has been reported that I know of, I've had a security update that day. So there's ignoring realities. And then, of course, the last thing, and the part where the tinfoil hat time comes in, is what if the PR guys are simply lying to you? Look at some of the Microsoft and Windows tracking and things. The PR, it's all about the PR, the message over and over and over. It's to give you a better user experience, a better user experience, a better user experience. Well, where's the option to say I choose not to participate? That's, for me, the option. I do want to not have to participate in that. All right, so what if other companies are lying about the purpose of PR? And this brings us to really the final point. And this is actually a much shorter video than I usually do. Couple reasons. One of those is, actually the major reason is I'm extremely tired. It's like 2:30 and I would like to get this video up. And hey, if it's really short, it'll also take a lot less time doing code. But anyway, PR. What is PR? Really, at its root, PR is marketing. Now, done right, PR is not marketing. PR is awareness of what is the reality. PR is supposed to reflect the reality to what a company is in the public's eye. So looking at the definition of a truth. So Josh McDowell defines truth in a lecture as fidelity to a standard. And I believe that may be one of the dictionary definitions as well. But there is, if we're talking about what is a company and what is a company doing, the company is doing certain things. Does that company have integrity or not? What does integrity mean? Well, integrity means that it does what you say. Some companies have integrity, some companies don't. Now, that's PR done right, is to make sure that the company has integrity. Make sure that what they're saying is what they're doing and what they're doing is what they're saying and that everyone is in agreement. That's what PR is supposed to do. Unfortunately, PR has shifted from that type of role in recent years to being marketing itself. And remember, the purpose of marketing is to get the message out loud enough, as often enough, and across as many platforms as possible to convince somebody hearing that message that that is what the purpose is. So, in other words, it is marketing a different idea about what your company does to what your company actually does. So when all of these companies are coming out and saying all of this data collection is to give you a better user experience, baloney! Call a big old bologna sandwich with mustard, because it is about tracking data so they can sell that data, because you are the number one commodity that is being bought and sold by all these different companies is your data. Now, I'm not opposed to advertising. Okay, I'm not opposed to advertising at all, but I'd kind of like to see advertising somewhat related. Like if I go out and I buy a copy of Guns and Ammo magazine, I don't expect to see ads in there for big purple dinosaurs, okay? Because that's just not the target market. But I do expect to see a whole bunch of ads for reloading supplies or bullets or guns or whatever. I don't know. The same thing. If I go out and I buy a magazine on cooking, I expect to see advertising in there about cookingware or cooking products or cooking ingredients or whatever, something related. Well, if I go online to look something up and I'm going to see an ad, and I don't mind necessarily seeing the ads, because I realize, people like me, this is ad supported, because it gives me an incentive. And I don't mind seeing ads in front of people's videos, but I would rather kind of see an ad that's more related to what their video's about, because in reality, that's how you have the best way to sell me something. If I'm looking up a video, for example, on microphones, which I looked up lots of videos on microphones, if they're trying to give me ads based upon the things that it thinks I want to see, well, I resist that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of people do. Maybe some people do. I don't know. How many people do? Let me know. But if I'm watching videos on microphones and I'm getting advertisings on microphones, you might inform me of a product I didn't know existed. Because I knew there were 2 different brands of microphones when I bought this one. And I wanted to see videos comparing and contrasting those two. I want to know how they worked, how well they worked, all those types of things. Okay? But if you showed me a third brand, I'd be like, now I'll watch videos on that brand too to see. That's how marketing works best, and I think for most people. But if you scoop up all the information to sell it to someone else, sorry. So, the idea of a PR firm anymore is to get the person to believe the message you're giving them. Now, there was a fascinating little article that I found here on 7 PR lies to avoid at all costs. So we're going to have a look at this. This is kind of a bonus for the video. I was going to include these in the article. I'll put a link to it in there, but I'm not actually going to write all these up. And, if I could just copy paste it, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to plagiarize somebody's stuff, and I certainly don't want to spend the time to rewrite all this. So this is a great little article. 7 little PR things. So deceptive stunts. So in this case here, now this here is like the scummiest of the scummiest. In 2007, the Boston bomb scare. Wow. That's kind of funny, because, not funny, but tragic that only a few years later there actually was a bomb in Boston. But what they did is they put these scary LED signs placed in random locations, which was to market a new show. Obviously, this went, was a negative thing, and they come back and say, oh, we don't intend to scare the public, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what you did. And then, of course, Call of Duty did something here, quote-unquote live tweets, reporting a terrorist attack in Singapore, which never actually happened. And of course that did not turn out well. All of these crazy radical things these companies are trying to do to raise awareness, they're generally not working, or maybe they are. Maybe that's just their purpose. AstroTurfing. Let's see. So what was this one again? Let's see. Trying to remember. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and read it. We call today AstroTurfing goes back to at least the unofficial, quote, father of modern public relations, Edward Barnes, who in 1929 hired a woman to march in support of their right to smoke for a tobacco client. For a latter-day example of fake citizenry, look no further than Walmarting across America back in 2006, what seemed to be a celebration of the retailer by a couple of super fans traveling across the country in an RV, turned out to be a plan by the PR who was hired. Okay, so in other words, what they're calling the AstroTurfing is somebody claiming to go out on behalf, just on their own, but it really turns out to be hired by a PR firm. Okay, sock puppetry. So this is essentially like the AstroTurfing, only on the digital scale. So basically a whole bunch of fake accounts, pushing up rankings on various pages for this very purpose, to raise awareness. Of course, fake reviews falls under this. They're calling here pseudo-anonymous comments, things like that. Okay, the Fox hack. This is The fake hack, really, this is where a company would pretend to be hacked just to bring media attention. Because, of course, the same thing, and the same thing happens, I'll say the same thing happens as a Christian. In fact, behind me, if you're ever curious, this is like a big old bake of academic Christian commentaries. I'm actually a theologian. Hey, why not? Little plug. This is actually the first book I've written. It's called Testing and Temptations. You can find on Amazon or Barnes & Noble online. I'm finalizing a draft on another book, and I plan to redo that one. There's some errors in the script and some adjustments we want to do. But, all this kind of stuff. How to get off on that? Fake reviews and stuff. If you throw up a bunch of fake reviews all over the place, then throw up all these fake reviews and stuff, then it basically draws in the attention. It draws in, we're at the fake hack. If you come out and say, oh yeah, we're getting hacked, all this fake information, it draws attention. Oh, I know where I was going with that. Sorry, I'm like off my script entirely. Christian movies, I'm fairly critical of many of them because a lot of times they don't have to put as much marketing into them. They simply make a press release to one or two key Christian groups. And then those guys just blast it out to everybody. And there's a whole lot of sheeple out there that'll simply go out and support anything that these big groups support. And unfortunately, that turned into supporting some really bad stuff in the Christian world not long ago. And I don't know. I'm going to get off of that box right now because I want to keep this more closely related to tech and business. But the fake ban, of course. So this is when a company, the example they're giving here is a company comes out, hey, appropriate. So this is, I guess the Super Bowl did happen today. I'm not a sports guy, so I don't care. Company comes out, like, the Super Bowl, they banned my ad. It was too shocking. So you can see the whole thing over here. This is kind of to raise a little bit of the awareness, toot their own horn while directing them to other stuff, like, the books you write. Okay. Social hijacking, this is not a lie, but is a PR sin. Haha. This includes people or brands who invite digital hijacking with ill-advised Twitter chats or other social media promotions, like Goldman Sachs' Twitter IPO conversation that was torpedoed before it began. One example is a comedian and accused serial rapist, Bill Cosby, whose PR team invited fans to, quote, meme him on Twitter just as a fresh assault of allegations were starting to emerge. They got more than they bargained for. Yeah, that backfired. And the Fox relationship, it is as old as the Hollywood Hills. The show Menace is the counterpart of the Fox feud. This is arguably entertaining sins committed in the name of PR, and even today they sell newspapers and drive web traffic, where Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson really an item. What about the bad blood between Katy Perry and Taylor Swift, Donald Trump, and just about everyone else? We'll never know for sure, but for an ethical PR pro, it's better not to go there. All right, so there's 7 different things. So these are things, obviously this is written from the perspective of teaching people how to do good PR. Avoid these types of PR things because they all tend to backfire in pretty bad ways. But for us, the idea of tinfoil hat time is to think about the world around us. Just think about the world, think about the world, think about the world around us, okay? And with this, when you start to see a company issue a press release, why are they issuing it, and are they doing one of these things? When you start seeing some new viral video going around, ask yourself, is it because it's really something useful, or is it the company doing something like a fake hack or whatever? If you see some person just going across the country saying, oh, I'm just going to go down and I'm just going to visit every store. There was one recently. What was that? I don't know. Some guy gets the idea to go and visit every Starbucks in one given state within a matter of a week or two. You get to that kind of stuff, and no, that's not some individual person. They're probably hired by a PR team to raise awareness without having to pay for an ad in a newspaper, which is an expensive thing. But if you get a whole lot of people talking about it, I don't know. You just get the weird stuff going on. So anyway, as far as that's concerned, when you start hearing press releases on a company, particularly when they include statements like, we really care about our customers, you really have to ask yourself, why are they saying that? Obviously, companies do care about their customers because a company is in business to make money. And that's not a bad thing, okay? That is what a company is. And I run some businesses, and that's what I need to do because, I got computers and I have lights to pay and I have food to put on the table and I need to make some money. And so I am in business to make some money. I'm in business to make a profit, and hopefully I make more profit than I don't make. Okay. However, all of that being said, when a company starts to take advantage of people and lie about them and not secure their things, and it's not just a Microsoft thing. The whole Target hack a couple years ago, they knew their software was out of date. They simply chose not to update it, and that's a major problem. So when you start to hear a company get out on all these PR things, what you want to make sure that you're doing is just make sure you're using your brain, put on your tinfoil hat there, sift things through, and evaluate. Is it truthful or is it not truthful? So that is kind of what I wanted to say there. So until next time, this has been Tom with a tinfoil hat time.